Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine.
Good. I'm okay. I am a bit busy with many things, but so are you. So what we're going to do today is we're going to practice a little bit of writing in English, okay? And for that, what we're going to do is use the debate format, okay? And that will help us to start writing, okay? How are your writing skills, Emmanuel?
My writing skills in English are so-so.
So-so, okay. Do you feel that they're better than your oral skills or pretty much the same?
No, it's better in oral than writing.
Okay. So we'll practice writing today.
Yes.
Okay? Let's start with this definition of what is a debate. Okay? A debate is a formal, structured dialogue in which educated opinions are exchanged in order to convince an audience of a certain point of view. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes? Emmanuel, what do you think, what do I mean by educated opinions? What do you think that is? What do you think I mean?
It is like instruction.
It could be like instruction, sure. What we mean by educated opinions is that it's an opinion based on facts, on evidence. Okay? Excuse me. You know that many people say, oh, I think that that the death penalty should be abolished or should be implemented. Yes? And why? And then you ask them, why do you think it should be abolished? Oh, because it's immoral. Okay, it could be immoral, but what makes you think it's immoral? Okay, so when you go and you think, when you start thinking what makes you, on what is based, on what your opinion is based, then it will be an educated opinion because you do research. Okay, so basically, in a debate, an educated opinion is an opinion that has been researched. Okay, either by internet or by library or in the library with books, journals, maybe interviewing people that you know or experts in the field. Okay, this is not that important for our purposes today, but mostly a debate is framed by time. Okay, and most important, Emmanuel, this will be later on when we practice exercises, this will be important. That is, it's framed also by a position, okay? Either you are in favor of the proposition or you're against. For example, if they tell you, okay, Emmanuel, you are going to be in favor of the death penalty. It doesn't matter if you believe in the death penalty or not, okay? But you have to defend that position, okay? Okay. What is the basis of a debate? Obviously, we need a topic, a proposition. Yes? Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines argument, and here we talk about argument because argument is what will help you defend your proposition. Okay? When you write an argumentative essay, you always will need arguments. And what supports the argument? Evidence supports the argument. Not an opinion. You cannot say, oh, I am against the death penalty because I don't like it. Well, who cares? If you like it or not, it doesn't matter. Exactly. It doesn't mean anything. Okay? Not here. It may mean something when you're talking with your friends or somewhere else, but for our purposes, an opinion like that is not valid, okay? So an argument is a reason given in proof or rebuttal. Rebuttal es como una respuesta, como una contestación, ¿no? Discourse intended to persuade, okay? When we write an argumentative essay, or maybe an argumentative paragraph, basically what we want to do is we want to persuade, we want to convince our readers, our public, that what you are defending is true and it's right. Okay? So far so good? Okay. In argumentation, yes, when we argue, and argue doesn't mean that we fight, yes? But when we argue, we have two types of propositions, okay? When we write an argument, we always have to be careful of what the proposition intends. For example, if you say, or give me an example of something that we could debate or that we could argue. I told you the death penalty, but something else maybe.
Abortion.
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence. Okay, what about domestic violence?
About children.
Okay. Okay, good. So big subject is domestic violence, then children, then what? Because we have to make it, it's like an embudo. Okay, so what about domestic violence with children?
If you adopt it, knowing if you adopt a boy or a girl,
Okay.
the teen will be adopted.
Okay, so maybe something with adoption, you said. Okay? And okay, let's see if I can formulate something. What about if, because we need a proposition. A proposition would be something like something like the death penalty should be legal. Yes, and that's so with children and okay. What about this? Maybe persons who abuse children should what? Go to prison forever.
The penalty, or we can change the name for adoption of the children by gay people.
Adoption, okay, good. Okay, we can do that. That's a lot simpler, I guess. Okay, so gay couples, even though there are no gay couples because the state doesn't allow it, yes. But let's just say that gay people should have the right to adopt children. Okay, so write that down, please, Emmanuel, because I will forget and I don't. Gay people should have the right to adopt children. Perfect. Okay. Now, see that in that case, we have two types of propositions. We have deontic, and these are based on philosophical, legal, and moral arguments. Okay? Usually, propositions that have the verb should, like in this case, should be able to adopt or should have the right to adopt. The arguments that you're going to find, Emmanuel, are going to be philosophical, legal, and moral. And I'll help you in a moment, okay? Moral doesn't mean religious because it doesn't mean religious, okay? Yes? Okay. Existentialist would be based on technological, economic, and political arguments, okay, on technical arguments. For example, you could say the U.S. government should increase its troops in Afghanistan, okay? And then you think, wow, troops. So troops are number of soldiers. You have the enemy, which are the Taliban, yes, and then you could say, well, yes, it is necessary. It is necessary for them to increase the troops because the Taliban has increased its paramilitary activity and so on. So, okay. So in those examples, and I said mistakenly should. I should have said it is necessary it is necessary for the U.S. government to increase its troops in Afghanistan. Then you look there for, your arguments will be based on this. Okay? Let's see. These are examples of deontic prepositions. Students should have the right to choose the university's administration. Okay? Can you give me an argument in favor of that?
In favor.
In favor of students should have the right, let's see, maybe one argument could be, they should have the right to choose because they are the ones who pay for the university. So they should have the right to name or to choose the administration. Since they are, imagine if I am a student, okay, I'm paying. So who is this person who's my department chair or dean of academic studies or the chancellor? I should have the right to choose them. I am the client, I am the student. Okay? What about an argument against this?
They don't have the capacity.
Very good. They should not have the right to choose because they don't have the capacity. They don't have the knowledge. A university student comes to the university to study. He or she, they don't know anything about the university's administration. Maybe.
They don't know about human resources.
They don't know about human resources, exactly. So that would be a good argument against. This is another deontic, yes? Universities should be free of charge for every citizen. Maybe give me an argument in favor. Well, one argument in favor could be that the Constitution of Puerto Rico, the Constitution of the United States, and many constitutions around the world, guarantee the right of every citizen to free education up to a certain level. Yes? So that's one argument in favor. You're taking a political argument, and you're using the Constitution, to support that argument. Okay?
The Constitution, it can be the because in Europe, in many countries in Europe have a free education.
Absolutely. And that can be, then you can say, that's your argument. Yes, because constitutions protect the right of the citizen to have a free education. And then, what is your evidence? Your evidence is like what you're saying. You look for countries. In Europe, for example, many countries have free education. France, Italy, Great Britain, and Germany. And in other places like China and Cuba, which are communist countries, they also have free education. So that's your evidence. Evidence is the thing that actually happens, okay? And it supports your argument, okay? This is the existentialist. It is necessary for the military to increase its troops in Afghanistan. This is a mistake. Globalization has increased. There should be a D there. My mistake, I'm sorry. Globalization has increased the living standards of developing countries. Okay? Again, it's easy to find, in this case, it's not always easy, to find arguments in favor or against. Okay? We saw an argument in favor of this. It is necessary for the military to increase its troops in Afghanistan because the Taliban has increased its paramilitary activities. Abuse continues, and so on. Okay? Now, against this, what could we think? That it is not necessary for the military to increase its troops in Afghanistan. For example,
conversation involved economic.
Okay, very good. You could say that it's in such times like this, maybe with the economic crisis and everything that we're living, you could argue that it's too expensive to keep up. It's too that we should ask for help from our allied countries you know, and it doesn't say even military in the United States, but you know, you could argue that yes, it's the U.S. military, you know, the biggest presence in Afghanistan.
We can use a moral argument like, or the Olympic.
They don't exclude each other. It could be the ontic, yes. Like for example, what could be a moral argument against?
A moral argument we have to be in peace in the Olympic world.
Sure. Okay, that would be a good argument. A counter argument against that, yes, because you argue and then you counter argue. So a counter argument could be that, well, we need to be in peace, but they have to start to be in peace, our enemies. You know, so it's back and forth. Okay. Globalization has increased the living standards of developing countries. In favor could be, well, sure, there are 4 countries called the BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, that in great part, thanks to globalization, they have increased their economies, yes? Against, it's also an economic factor because immediately this is economic, no? Living standard has to do with economics, mostly. If you look at the statistics, there are many more poor people than before globalization started. There are more rich people, but there are more poor people also. Okay? Anyway. Okay. Let me see this. Okay. So where do we start? We have a proposition, yes? Gay people should have the right to adopt children. Okay? When we debate, it's chosen at random. You have a little cup or a hat or whatever, and you choose if you're going to be in favor or against. Okay? Usually we need 3 arguments. Okay? And we do research in order to find evidence that supports the 3 arguments. Okay? So for each argument, Emmanuel, we're going to have 1 evidence. Okay? So, let me talk a little bit about evidence. What is it? Where do we find it? Well, what do you think it's evidence? How would you define evidence? Maybe facts. Maybe statistics, exactly. Opinions by experts, yes. By psychologists, excellent. Psychiatrists, journals, the Journal of American Psychology, for example. Newspapers, quotes from famous people about the subject. Okay. So all of that is evident. And where do we find it? From the internet to the library to the pharmacy to the bookstore. Evidence is everywhere. Evidence is everywhere. We just have to find it and we have to read it and we have to make sure that it supports our arguments. Okay? That's the most important thing. Sources. Well, what we said, yes? Newspapers, journals, books, experts, what you said, Emmanuel, a while ago, statistics, numbers, yes, percentages, but all of that has to be documented. For example, if I say, well, the troops in Afghanistan increased by 39% in the last 2 years. Okay? According to whom? Oh, according to the Department of State or the Department of Defense in a newspaper article found in the New York Times in October 2009. That's the evidence, yeah?
Yes.
It's the source. Okay. So let's get to work. So, Emmanuel, let's take maybe 5 minutes so that you can write, do you want to be in favor? No, you're not going to choose. Let's do it by random. Okay. If it's yes, you're going to be in favor of the proposition. If it's no, you're going to be against. Okay? Do you throw it or do I throw it?
You throw it.
So it's a no. So no, gay people should not have the right to adopt children. Okay? So let's take a couple of minutes and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Good. Let's listen to what Emmanuel wrote against. It was at random. The proposition, or actually the position against the proposition was at random by a coin flip. And Emmanuel will share with us now 3 arguments against the proposition gay people should be able, or should have the right, to adopt children. So let's listen to Emmanuel.
This is my proposition. It is I and against gay people should have the right to adopt children because, number one, children have emotional capacity, according to an article published by the Psychological Association on October 2009.
Okay.
Number 2, they can change the family concept based on a study of human behavior presented in the New York Times.
Okay, so no family concept, they can change. Mm-hmm.
And third, the society is not ready for this change according to an article published on the AMP Psychological magazine.
Okay, good. Okay, very good. So Emmanuel did what we usually do when we write an argumentative essay. You take the proposition, you take a position, you had the first argument that they don't have the emotional capacity to raise children, and you have evidence for that. The concept of the family cannot be changed. And number 3, which was the third one?
The third one is the society is not ready for this change.
Society is not ready for this change. Okay, very good. Now, I for the sake of explanation, yes, because we're being recorded, this is an exercise in which Emmanuel did not look for evidence because we're in a workshop, and so all the evidence is invented, yes, and in fact, most research, yes, for the sake of being clear and being fair, most research is in favor of gay people adopting children. I just wanted to make that clear because it was just the coin flip that decided, However, what is truly important is that you understand that you take the argument and then the evidence supports the argument. Okay? In such a writing, yes, in such a short essay, we would usually have an introductory paragraph explaining the concept of that the proposition presents, why gay people should be able to adopt children or why shouldn't they be able, and usually the introductory paragraph talks about the history of the proposition. In recent years, many countries have implemented the law for gays to adopt and so on. And then you start the argumentation in what is called the body of the paragraph. And then a concluding paragraph that tells you, in general, you summarize the arguments and then you give a closing. You write a closing remark. Okay? Now, let's do something before we're done. Let's do something called, Emmanuel, a 1-minute debate. And a 1-minute debate is the following. In my classes, students really like this because they get pumped up. And it helps them. It's a good exercise before writing, yes, a longer essay, or before standing in public and actually debating. So the 1-minute debate is, I'll give you a proposition now. yes? And you'll have 1 minute to think and write arguments, mostly, yes? If you can think of an evidence, you write it also. And then you'll have a minute to present it, okay? So this is a proposition. The weather in Puerto Rico is the best in the world, okay? So let's give you a couple of minutes to think of 3 arguments. Emmanuel is going to present his arguments in favor of the proposition that we decided, and we're going to time it. He's going to have 1 minute. The purpose of this, Emmanuel, is it's double, yes? If you have to speak in front of the public, it will help you because you're not that afraid because it's only 1 minute. And on the other hand, it helps you on your writing skills, okay? So let's go.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel, and I'm in favor that Puerto Rico has the best weather in the world because first, this island is located in the equator in where our avalanche climate.
Mm-hmm.
Second, Puerto Rico has a jungle forest that contributes to the rain from the north through the south.
Okay.
And third, people don't have to spend on winter clothing.
Okay, good. So you had 42 seconds. So let's check the arguments once again. Number 1 was?
This island is located,
It's
is
okay.
located in the equator in where our avalanche climate are.
Okay, so location, Puerto Rico is located close to the equator, and that creates a balanced climate, okay, all year round. It's a balanced climate and it doesn't change because of the location. Okay, the second was?
The second is Puerto Rico has a jungle forest. They contribute
Rain.
rain.
Okay.
Contribute to it is not road. Contribute to the fall of the rain to the north and the south.
Okay. So the
north, from the north for the south and the
or east to west, or I don't know about that necessarily, but maybe you could say something that El Yunque, Puerto Rico has the best weather because El Yunque gives us always a rainfall. Yes, El Yunque National Forest helps us not creating rain because we don't create rain, but helps the weather by creating by rainfall. Okay, and the third one was?
The third one is people don't have to spend on winter clothing.
Good. So that's an economic argument. People don't have to spend on winter clothing. Good. Even though you can see some people sometimes with jackets and scarves. Maybe if you go to the movies where it's always cold, but we don't have to spend money on winter clothing. Okay, that's very good. Any questions, Emmanuel, before we finish?
No.
No? Is it clear, more or less?
Clear.
Okay, very good. So thanks for coming, and I'll see you later.